Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Nidecker Carbon Supermatic. That's right, the stiffer version of the Supermatic, or their easy entry binding. I rode this binding at Arapahoe Basin on a day that was a mix of overcast skies, couple pockets of blue coming through, slightly warmer temps that created slush at the lower mountain. You had perfect corduroy mid-mountain and higher, chopped chunder off those groomers, and I rode it on my Ride Shadowband snowboard with my K2 Thraxis boots. This binding has a lot of moving parts, but it does not have a lot of adjustments. What you get is 3 flip tabs for the heel and the toe straps to just lengthen or shorten them. And then you have a set screw, which will move your forward lean. And finally, you have 3 placements for your toe ramp, so you can slide it forward or backwards to center it under your boot. The big story with the Supermatic Carbon is that you have 3 straps, or a 3-strap system, if you will. So you have 2 for the heel and then 1 for the toe. Now, with that heel strap, the big thing is this strap here is just to kind of guide and lock it in, while the top is what holds you down. So you want this a little bit looser. It feels like a regular strap. It's a little beefier than the regular Supermatic strap, but not by much. You can drive into it, you feel that power, there's still a little bit of lateral give. With the toe strap, the way that it's shaped with that webbing, it'll fit around a multitude of boot shapes. You do not have to worry about it. It's going to fully encapsulate it and grip. Going back to that heel strap, you do have a little bit of padding on this molded strap, so you will get a little bit of absorption over your instep, but not a lot. They're ratchets, they work. One thing that they did with the redesign on these compared to the regular Supermatic is you actually have to engage it and force the release tab to guide in before it will climb, because if you don't and you go to just feed it in, it's not going anywhere. You have to guide this in more aggressively. That will cause it to not release, not have any issues with it, but you don't have that locking mechanism like on the regular Supermatics that I tried out where it would hold it in place. Otherwise, these ratchets work really well. They release exactly how you'd want, but once you have these things set, you're probably not going to be screwing around with that release on there. There is a tiny bit of play in these, but not enough that most people will notice them. These things are dialed, and with the design of this binding, the way it's made to work, it makes sense with how they did them. Okay, so we're about halfway through this review. Why don't you give it a thumbs up? And while you're down there, if you haven't subscribed, do that. Click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the programming we've got coming out for you. One of the things they did with the Carbon Supermatic was they tried to reduce any excess moving parts and reduce weight. So you get that carbon response with a lighter weight to it. So what they did is they removed the flip tab on the high back and instead put an interior set screw to adjust it. This makes more sense because this is a binding, once you set it, you want to forget about it. You might check your screws on it, but you're not trying to tweak or adjust anything on the fly. It's just set and you go with it from there. But with this, you know, you get your forward lean right down the back, and it's a responsive high back. It's stiff. You notice that power when you drive into it. You can feel that response. There is no real delay with it. As this is the carbon version, it's going to be more responsive. It's going to be a little bit more rigid. You have a really big disc underfoot. You have a big chassis as well. You're going to feel that you get power toe to heel, and there's a little bit more laterally. A lot of that has to do with just the way the straps are shaped. When you drive into the high back, there's power. And that's just the way it's designed with the carbon. It's designed to be lighter weight, more responsive, and that's what you want with it. So if you had the regular Supermatic but you felt that it wasn't as responsive, this is going to actually compensate for that by adding more carbon to it. So when you really drive into it, you feel it react. There is more power in there, a little bit more precision as well. This is a lively binding. It's not damp. You are going to feel a lot of that kinetic energy coming up. That carbon amplifies it. The other thing is, with it having a bigger dead spot, you don't get as much binding roll in there, so there's not as much lateral play, so you're not really compensating with it. This is for more of a precision-based rider that wants that power and wants a ride that is going to perform, but still give them the ease of coming in through the back door. Rider in mind, this binding is for a heavier rider that wants more precision and power, that can't bend over but wants something that is a step-on and does not limit them on boot choices. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. Is this the binding for me? No. As a rider, I don't need this. I'm out there 100, 150 days a year. I can still bend at the waist. I don't need ease of entry getting in and out. I don't care about the 10 milliseconds it's gonna shave off so that I can go catch up to my skier friends. One, I don't ride with skiers and neither should you, but whatever. No, what I do dig is the drop-in technology. It's light years ahead of anything that's Clue's doing. It's not limiting you to certain boots like with the Burton step-on. It makes sense. They keep refining this, and this is another generation where they've refined it. They've added carbon. It's more lightweight. It is more responsive. The one thing I didn't dig was it's not as damp as the regular Supermatic. You feel more of that kinetic energy coming up underfoot. I could feel that in my back at the end of the day. It's a solid concept that I am 100% backing. I agree that there are people that need this out there. Is it for me? No. Do I regularly recommend it? Not really, but I know that it's out there, and I think it's better than some of the other options out there. And I think if this was marketed a little bit differently, it would absolutely destroy that bullshit that is Clue, because those bindings just fucking suck. And anyone that bought those, you're a fucking moron. By and large, if you're looking for an ease of entry binding, you don't want to be limited, this isn't a bad option. One thing I will say, bulkier boots fit in this better than a narrower boot. So if you got a really narrow heeled boot, you may feel some play in there. With a bulkier boot, it's gonna feel more snug. Now the problem is, bulkier boots, harder to step into this thing and push down. And that's another thing, is that with being so used to just riding two-strap bindings, I have to use different muscle memory to get into this. It takes a little bit. I think after 5 days of riding, whoever buys these will not have a problem with that, but you just got to open yourself up to learning new muscle memory and how to get in and out of your bindings. Comparable bindings. There's honestly nothing like this in the sense of how this works. I mean, Flow would be close, maybe like a Fast Tech, which would be like your GNUs and stuff like that. Or if you really hate your life, you could look at the cinches from K2. Do they even make those anymore? I don't even know. I've stopped paying attention to them. And for those of you that are gonna be like, it's just like Clue. It's not. Those are pieces of crap. They are pieces of crap. They do not work the same. They do not flex the same. They do not even ride like a normal binding. For all you Clue fanboys that are coming here to say that, just fuck off, you fucking morons. You got sold a shitty product. This has been my review of the Carbon Supermatic from Nidecker. If you're getting a pair of these, why don't you go watch my video on how to set them up? That way we can get you dialed in before you hit the slopes.